Alright, a very warm welcome back everyone. Let's talk about another beat, and we are going to get right into it by playing this back. We have a very classic drum loop again with some hi-hats and also some bass playing. But I'm going to let this build up for just a second so you can see what I'm talking about. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is so if you have a very large subwoofer at home right now and you are listening to this, you probably have lots of fun like I do, because this sub bass is doing everything but playing in the bass region, so it's jumping all over the place and maybe even keeps everything wobbling inside your home as well. So maybe let's take a quick look at this bass, at the whole bass region. I've talked about this a number of times before. So we have a sub bass which is just playing between 30 Hertz and 40 Hertz, and you can also hear what's happening here. You can also see what the sub bass is doing here. And then we have the normal bass, so to say, which is playing up to, let's say, 500 Hertz to 1 kilohertz. And therefore we do not need any more information, any more bass information for this particular track, because 1 kilohertz is already very, very neat to be played on every single playback system. So this is what's happening here, and again, this bass is just used for thickening everything here, and the sub bass is then for the very low information. I didn't use another sub bass for repeating what the bass is playing, just because it would interfere with the sub bass here, and the sub bass would not get through that that well in this situation. So this is the one thing. Then we have a pad that has been coming in for these 6 bars here, and as you can hear, this pad is also adding some harmonies and melody, which for us is very neat because we can use these harmonies in order to put them also in the phrase and in the melody later on. Then we also have a change in the drums, so we have more shaker, we have ride, and we also start to get the closed hi-hat further down the line. Also we have crashes which are merging into each other, especially when we are talking about the more like the chorus section of the song, and also when we are getting out of this chorus section we have the crashes, or these reverse symbols again, and they are paired usually. They are not paired, but you have a like question answering thingy with the whoosh here and with the crashes here, or the reverse symbols, and it starts at bar 33 and then goes on and on until we reach the end of the song. So basically this phrase is just playing the chords, the very basic chords, no extensions, but just the basic triads. And then when the melody comes in, the phrase is slowly faded out while the melody is slowly faded in, and when the melody is when the melody is completely in there, we also have the phrase 2, which is then an arpeggio that you're going to hear in a second. In this case again made with Apache. There was the whoosh. And now we stop the melody and bring the first phrase, so the second melody, so to say, back in. So we have basically the arpeggio playing and the phrase at the same time. So you could argue that this is some sort of chorus and this would be some sort of verses. And here at, I think, bar 65 or 69, please imagine that we are fading out again. Maybe I'm doing this also here. Probably something like this. And now we can talk actually about the effects that are worked in here. So maybe let's first talk about the reverb that I used. In this case, we do not have any delay. We just have reverb, and we do not have reverb for all the other instruments, but only for the drums in this case. So the reason for this is because I wanted to position the drums in the room much better than I would be able to if I only used one reverb. And also there are some things that happened here. So you see that we only use this reverb situation on 4 of our tracks, 4 of our channels. But when we are talking about what these reverbs actually do, of course you have, or we have what we've seen before. We have a short reverb, medium reverb, and long reverb. But for the long reverb, the problem is that also the very low frequencies will be added in this reverb tail. And this is actually something that I do not want, because these long, very heavy bass notes, if they get reverb as well, it's muddying everything up. So I decided to go for a brick wall cut here at 300 Hertz. So everything that is piped into the reverb will only be these, let's say, higher frequencies. All right. Maybe let me go back here. And you can see that the bass is much more prominent than the high frequencies are. This is what usually would be cut here. So if I would not have this cut activated, you would hear much more reverb on the low frequencies. And this is exactly what I don't want, especially when we're talking about these kick and clap stuff. This long reverb is mixed very quietly. And for the other things, the long reverb is mixed a little bit louder in this case. So this is what happens for the effects, especially for the reverb effects. And now we can talk about the other effects as well. Maybe let's take a look at the pad first. So what happens here is the pad is wobbling quite much. So we have you can also see this in the waveform here. So you have many louder and quieter sections here. And what I decided to do is first do the obligatory cut here at 150, just because I don't want it to muddy my low end, and get more information there. And you also see that you have like a peak here between, let's say, 200 Hertz and 1 kilohertz, and then you have like nothing going on in the high end. So what I want to do is merge this or squash this a little bit together, right? So the cut is the one thing, then the other thing is I'm compressing everything. In this case also by not talking about the low end here, so the side chaining. And this gets a reduction of -5 decibels, which is quite much already. But afterwards, I'm compressing even more in this region that you've seen before, in this region here between 200 Hertz and, let's say, 2 kilohertz. But at the same time, bringing the high frequencies up again. And what happens is basically what this yellow line tells you. So you have the reduction here, the compression here, and you have the expansion here. And this makes the sound, like, of course, squashed together, but at the same time raises the volume for the higher frequencies and reduces the volume for the medium to low frequencies, which makes the pad fit in very nicely with the whole arrangement, right? So then we have the classic cuts for the hi-hats. Right, so nothing very special there. And for the shaker as well. For the shaker, I indeed did something else, which is just adding some side information here. So just make the shaker a little bit wider. And for the other things, not much happens. For the bass, we have a compression going on again with outside chaining here. And you can see that there is a massive reduction here, just because I don't want the transients to clash with everything. So I'm compressing everything together, and then I can add some chorus on there. The important part here is that I'm only adding this to the bass and not to the sub bass, because the sub bass is much deeper than the bass would be, and therefore would introduce these harmonics. If I decided to go for saturation, for example, would introduce these harmonics on a very large scale, especially over my whole frequency spectrum. And this is what I don't want to do. So I wanted to make the bass a little bit thicker, to make it pop a little bit more, and therefore I went for a chorus here. And this is the only thing that happens. For the melody, we have, melody means this bottle pipe, maybe you should say, or maybe you could say. We only have some gluey compression here, I would say, just to make, again, put everything not squash it to death, but make it fit very nicely in the arrangement. And for the phrase in general, we also use a low cut, which is seemingly isn't necessary here, but you can see that there are some regions where there are some low frequencies still coming in there, and to make all of those, to disable all of those, I went for a cut there. And that's basically it. That's all there is to it, all that's happening in this arrangement, in this beat. And well, I think yeah, this is all I need to tell you about this. So I'm going to see you in the next one, and until then, stay safe and healthy.